Hello and welcome to Brand X Reviews. This morning we've had the announcement that the 24th James Bond film is going to be called SPECTRE, which is very interesting. Now this was announced live over YouTube. I did have a link to it that streamed it off the website at brandxreviews.com. So if you've already seen that, I'll just kind of blitz through it, but if you haven't, let's just kind of say what I think about it. So the title SPECTRE, well, I'd heard a while ago that this film was going to be revisiting the old ground that Sean Connery's James Bond trod in the 60s with the organisation SPECTRE, which was Special Executive for Counterintelligence, Terrorism, Revenge, Extortion. That's what SPECTRE was kind of derived from, that name, abbreviated. So it's something that's always been said. I mean, there's been a lot of stuff about the Daniel Craig films. Ever since he started with Casino Royale, there was some kind of notion that they were going to redo all of the books, including all the ones that they've used as films before, and do them as films in that order. So the next film, Live and Let Die, then, was it Moonraker? All the books in order, but that was total bullshit. It was obviously a lot of bollocks. But there's always been like thoughts like that since he kind of went back to like, 50s era book that with Casino Royale, that they would kind of be retreading all the old ground, and just that was where they were basing it on. Well, they haven't really. I mean, Quantum of Solace was not the title was kind of taken from an old Ian Fleming book, but Skyfall as well was not anything that came from the books. So there's always been that kind of notion that they were going to do stuff like that. So SPECTRE, of course, was heavily rumoured to be, the next thing that Daniel Craig's James Bond was going to be up against. Well, that does seem to be the case with this, obviously, from the title. I mean, that's clearly where they're going with it. I'd also heard other rumours as well, because in the last couple of weeks, I think it was, they were saying that Dave Bautista, the wrestler turned actor within limited capacity, when he's used well, he can be good. Guardians of the Galaxy, for example. That he was going to be in it, and then also Christoph Waltz, who I know from the film Inglourious Bastards. I don't really know him from anything else, but he was a very good bad guy in that, very intimidating. So he had a kind of a charm about him at the same time, so perfect James Bond villain, if that is what he is. They didn't announce that, they just said that Christoph Waltz is going to be in it. But point is, I'd heard that they were rumoured to be in this, and that SPECTRE was going to be in it, and that Christoph Waltz was going to play Blofeld. Now, we've now had confirmed that Christoph Waltz is going to be in the film. It is SPECTRE, so it's not a stretch of the imagination that the third part of that rumour, that he's going to play Blofeld, is also true. It just makes sense, and I can very much see that happening. So they didn't confirm that at this thing, unless I maybe blinked and missed that information. But there's a few other things as well. There's a few other actors. A lot of the cast from Skyfall are back. So Moneypenny, Q, M, the actors that played them are all back, and obviously Daniel Craig's back as well. They revealed the new car as well. In fact, no, other cast members. There were a few others that I didn't recognise. Maybe one or two. There was also another one who I don't really like, to be honest. Monica Bellucci. She usually plays the same characters in all of her films that I've seen anyway. That is that of a French whore, let's just put it that way. That's the part that she always tends to play in films. So, and she's kind of a bit annoying as well. She's kind of somebody that used to be around in like the 90s and that. It's like, whoa, Monica Bellucci, whoa. It's like, yeah, she's still quite pretty, don't get me wrong. But even though she was that in the 90s. But yeah, I kind of find her a bit annoying in films, a bit kind of pretentious as well. But it's James Bond. I'm sure they can find the right kind of Bond girl role for her. I'm sure that'll work very well. But yeah, the car they announced, the Aston Martin DB10, is the car that's going to be used in this. So they're keeping with the previous few films. I think it was Die Another Day was the first film to bring back the Aston Martin as the main car. You did see Aston Martins in some of the other Pierce Brosnan ones, like GoldenEye, Tomorrow Never Dies, the old DB5, but the main cars were BMWs. Die Another Day, they kind of started again with the Aston Martin Vanquish, and they've kept that going to the present day with all the Daniel Craig films, pretty much. So that was what we would have assumed would have been the case anyway. So Sam Mendes is directing again. He's a great film director. He did Skyfall. He's done other films as well that I've liked. Road to Perdition, that's a very good film, very well directed film, and that also had Daniel Craig in it as well. So it really is kind of a feeling that there's a family thing going on with this franchise now, rather than kind of rolling over a new director every time. It's nice to have a bit of continuity. So it's very interesting anyway that that they are going back over the old ground with Spectre as well, because the first two films of the Daniel Craig series dealt with this organisation, this kind of mafia organisation that infiltrates everything. And it was only really referred to in the second of his films, Quantum of Solace, and it was referred to as Quantum, which I kind of thought was a bit derived, because obviously they'd taken the title Quantum of Solace from the short story to give it an Ian Fleming kind of twang to it. But so they kind of just said, well, we've got this word that most Americans presumably don't know what quantum means. I'm not saying that's the case, that's just the way a lot of studios kind of think about it. And so they kind of use that word as the name of the organisation, which I thought kind of sounds a bit stupid. So if they kind of say, well, actually it's not called Quantum, that was just like what some people refer to it as, it's actually known as Spectre. You know, that's what they're going to do. I'm presuming it'll be something along the lines of that. Maybe not quite as cheesy as I just acted it out. But yeah, like I said, presumably that's where they're going with it. They're kind of revisiting the first two films, because the last film, Skyfall, as great as it was, abandoned the whole quantum / Spectre storyline, which isn't unheard of. I mean, it's exactly the same way that Sean Connery's films worked. The first two films of his, Doctor No and From Russia with Love, dealt with Spectre. Then the next film was Goldfinger, and it went off in another direction. That was pretty much a standalone film. So Skyfall is pretty much going to be Daniel Craig's Goldfinger. So and one of the, probably, I don't know if it's the better one, the more preferred one. I think Casino Royale's my favourite, probably one of my favourite films, period, to be honest. But yeah, so anyway, I kind of rambled on. Those are my thoughts about this. There wasn't much else revealed. It was a very short press announcement. It was filmed at Pinewood Studios and it was live. It went on for maybe, the actual thing itself was probably not even 10 minutes. It was a bit of kind of presentation. It kind of boosted it to about 15, 20 minutes, if that. A bit of an intro and a bit of a post-event kind of thing about it. But so there wasn't a huge amount of information on there. There was a bit of other information like locations that they're going to be shooting and stuff like that. But I'm sure you'll be able to see that on YouTube if it's not already up by the time my video's up. So you might as well just go and watch that. I did take some screenshots, so if not, you can see some pictures. Not at brandxreviews.com itself, but there's a link where you can go to the Facebook page, and there are a few pictures on there. I was taking screenshots of the whole thing as well, so you can see the logo, you can see the car, you can see the cast members. But I'll leave it there, and I don't have much else to say. I will be covering this as the whole thing develops. I'm a big James Bond fan, it's my biggest thing. It's quite surprising I haven't done that many videos on it, to be honest, but now there's a film coming out, there'll be lots of information, so I'll be able to do more videos on the James Bond franchise, because I tend to do things like Marvel and DC stuff, just because there's a lot going on. But yeah, I will leave it there, and as I say, brandxreviews.com is the website. There's more information up there, and if you check back, we will see you next time. Thank you very much for watching.